Hi everybody. Today I'm going to discuss with you a question that one of my followers had, which is, can you take my child away? And this is quite an important question because there are so many people that are being bullied by narcissists or toxic people, and they are being told that they are going to leave with nothing and they're not going to keep their children. So I'm just going to explain how that works. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Natasha Williams, and I'm a toxic relationship expert. And I help women to find that deep self-love within themselves. They don't have to find it from outside. And that way, they will attract mutually fulfilling relationships. So the question that I had is, can you take my child away? And I'm going to say to you that all things are possible. But unless you are a mother who is a drug addict or a prostitute and you've got all these crazy things, you're neglecting your children, then the courts are not going to just take your child away. There would have to be a serious reason as to why they would do it. Now, this particular listener is actually unemployed, and that's her biggest worry because she said she can't provide for the child. Now, if her husband is busy paying and providing support for the child, then it actually counts in her favor. So I would say that the fact that you're at home and you are a full-time mom and a full-time caregiver is the best care that a child could actually get. So why on earth would the court take the child away? If, however, you are working, you can always take your child and explain to the courts that there is a safe place where they go to. Maybe they go to a daycare center, or maybe they go to parents, your parents, or somebody, a family member that they know, and that way you are showing your strengths. Now, what a toxic person is going to try and do is make you out to be mentally or emotionally unstable. So they might even have suggested that you need to see a psychologist because you're crazy or something's wrong with you. And the minute they've got some kind of diagnosis, or you're on antidepressants or you're on anti-anxiety medication, they then say you're mentally or emotionally unfit to be a mother. So the last thing you want is for them to take that and turn it around on you. So the only way you're going to prove that the reason why you are mentally or emotionally stressed is because of the abuse that you're enduring. And the courts work on a contractual basis. They don't care what you say, what he says, because they don't know. They don't live with you. So the only way they're going to know is if you have evidence. So every single interaction that you have, every time somebody shouts at you, and I'm talking for men, but I mean it applies to men that are in abusive relationships too, but I'm speaking to the ladies here. Every time that he belittles you or humiliates you or abuses you, keep note, keep track. It's not the once-off things that count. It's the pattern of abuse. It's the way that you have systematically been broken down that you need to prove. If you don't have evidence, it's very hard to prove. For me personally, I actually, with my daughter, I was never married to her father, and I had a very, very hectic custody battle. It took 2 years of emotional, mental, physical, financial stress on me that caused serious PTSD with me because of the abuse, of the allegations, of the lies that he made up, of the way that he twisted and turned everything to make me out almost as if I'm a completely unfit mother. And it actually landed up in the court system where the court said that they wanted to put the child in foster care. Now, understand at that time I didn't have the support. I didn't know what I was dealing with. I didn't even know what a narcissist was. So I've learned a lot since then. But that is what will happen. That is the extent to which they will go. So in order for you to keep your sanity, because you are the only sane one in this relationship, you need to make sure that you realize that what you have done is all in favor of the children. You're doing it for the children, not for your self-gain and neglecting the children. So keep a record of every single interaction. When I went to get a protection order, my ex actually cried in front of the judge and turned everything that I said he'd done, which he had done, and on me and said, she's the one, Your Honor, who's doing it. And I couldn't believe it. I wasn't expecting it. I thought we were here to have an honest discussion. And at the end of the day, nothing was done. Nothing was done to protect me. And he was actually collecting my daughter from school drunk. So these are the things that you want to make sure of. Now, if you have a partner or a husband who's not safe to be around the children, then you absolutely need to make sure that you take the child away from that person, because you don't want to land up having joint custody with somebody, because the courts will go on a precedent. Now, I'm not speaking for just South Africa, I'm speaking for worldwide, but I mean, just check the laws in your country as to what your rights are. Which actually brings me to another point. You need to know your rights. You're going to have been bullied, you're going to have been threatened, you're going to have been told all sorts of stories by this narcissist that you are not good, and everybody else can see that. Everybody else knows that you're an unfit mother. They might have reported you, they might have said certain things, and you need to get the law on your side. At the moment, it's going to feel like you versus him and many, because that's what they make themselves out to be. A bully makes themselves out to be bigger than you and everybody else. And that is not the case. The law is there to defend you. So if you get the backing from the law, then it's you and the law versus him. And then that just turns the tide completely. But you've got to cooperate with them, and you've got to give them the evidence that they need in order to get the work done on their side. Now, the other thing is, when you are a mama bear, you want to protect your cubs. So if you feel that you're overwhelmed, or you don't have enough energy, or you don't have enough power, your self-worth is down the drain, you've got to make that decision to let mommy bear come out and fiercely defend your cubs, because your children don't have a voice. They can't ask where they want to go to. They're going to be told where to go to. And if you are feeling weak, if you're feeling less than, you're not going to put up a good fight. And I had to learn how to stand up to that, because it was something completely alien to me. I used to think that people were all nice and sweet and everyone should get along. And the fact is, the more nice and sweet I was, the more I got bulldozed. And the more lies that were spread, and the more slandering and smearing happened. And to the point that the people that got affected the most was myself and my daughter. So if you want to stand up, you need to understand you can use support from people that are going to be on your side. Now, when it comes to courts, I don't know about other countries, so I'm only going to speak on behalf of South Africa, but just check. If you are wanting to get divorced, please don't believe that you have to get a lawyer. You don't have to have a lawyer. I would advise that you get legal advice. I would advise that you get legal advice, not just from one lawyer, but from a few lawyers, because every lawyer will work based on their own worldview and their own way that they deal with things, and it might not be best for you. It's the same as having a doctor's opinion. You're not going to just get first opinion that comes along, put the money down on the table and hope and wait that they're going to give you the service. My own experience was I spent thousands on 3 different lawyers. They put me in the High Court, and after spending so much money that I didn't have anything left to spend, 2 years later I was going to the courts. I went there 7 times to try and find paperwork that obviously was missing, and eventually I pulled the entire matter off the roll, and I went to the magistrate's court. It cost me 100 and something rand for the sheriff just to deliver the summons, and it took 3 months from the day of me going to the magistrate's court. The forms are already filled out. All you have to do is put in your details, tick the relevant blocks, and then they will issue summons. Now, my ex was very difficult to get hold of, so I had to play tactics to try and get him to meet me somewhere and arrange with the sheriff for me to meet him at the same time. And it took 6 weeks for the sheriff to try and find him, eventually to put him down so that he could actually deliver the summons. And that is why it took 3 months. Otherwise, I would have probably been divorced after 6 weeks. So please don't believe anything that they say to you. Believe what I am saying to you, or don't. Go and find other people that have done the same. Look for people that have been through the same situation. And just because you're feeling less than doesn't mean you are less than. It just means that right now they have eradicated your self-esteem, and that self-esteem is underneath that you need to get me. And if you need help, with pleasure, give me a call. I am available for strategy calls as well. If you need help with overcoming this abuse, maybe at some stage later on when you feel like you're ready to go into a relationship again, or you're in a situation where you just can't cope, then I would advise that you actually do coaching, whether it's with me or somebody else, because you actually need to heal that inner child wound. The reason why you are attached to this toxic behavior, you're going to keep finding it until you heal it. So you'll never find a normal relationship for as long as you are reenacting patterns from your childhood. Normal people won't see you. You're just going to be too much for them, too much drama, too intense. So in order for you to get calm and drama-free, that is my suggestion. But if you like, book a strategy call with me. It's free, and we can discuss how I can help you. I hope that all this information does help you, and I'm sure that you are a good mother, otherwise you wouldn't be on this channel. You have an awesome day.